Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Brian Shink, your host, and today I'm joined by my classmate, Caleb Crawford.
Caleb Crawford. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you. All right, so today we're going to be doing a review of the video game Anthem. Now, if you haven't heard of the game Anthem, it came out the end of 2018, and so it's been around for a little under a year now. It's a third-person like Iron Man simulator produced by EA and Bioware, and I actually just got the game a couple months back, and I've been playing it. So yeah, well, let's start with that. So I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but there's going to be a spoiler warning if you haven't played the game, at least for the story. Most of the gameplay was already showed off, so you would have already seen it, but this is a spoiler warning for the gameplay. So within Anthem, you get to pilot what they call a javelin. And now a javelin is like a different mark of like an Iron Man suit. That's why everyone was extremely excited, because you get to pilot your own set of Iron Man armor. And each different javelin comes with its own play style. So I'm going to pass it over to my buddy.
So the javelins are powerful exosuits worn by people who are known as freelancers. And spoiler warning, as he said, the game takes place after a cataclysm, which is a big storm created by the Anthem, and it's like it makes stuff. It's a creation, and it makes animals and stuff like that, and the enemies you fight. And they're worn by freelancers, and the freelancer that you play is someone who survived the Heart of Rage, which is one of the worst cataclysms they say is in the game. Do we want to talk about the javelin?
Yeah, we want to talk about the javelin.
Alright, so there are 4 different class types, which is the Ranger, the Colossus, Storm, and the Interceptor. We'll start off with the Ranger. And the Ranger is the all-around class. He can do anything. He's just the basic, normal, most versatile javelin, capable of adapting to different situations really easily.
And with these classes, there's different types of weaponry that each of the classes can carry. For most of the classes, they can carry any weapon except the heavy weapons, which is like set and is only accessible to the next class, which is the Colossus class. The Colossus is the largest of the javelins. It's also the most defensively like buff character, as well as the strongest when it comes to firepower, being that it can use heavy weaponry. Only issue with the Colossus, it's best for any playstyle where it's run into a room and just shred everything to pieces, but it's very slow, and it takes a lot longer than the other weapons to reload when you run through your ammo because of how big the gun is and how much ammunition you're spreading at the same time. But it's good for anybody whose playstyle is just charge in, be the tank, and clear out the waves of enemies for all the other characters to come in and get the more like the turrets and the stuff that's up high that can be aimed at you while you're just lumbering around.
To add on to the Colossus, since that was the first Titan, or not Titan, but javelin that I picked, because that's what I like to do. I like to run in and gun everything down. Everyone has different abilities. The Colossus, he has a mortar cannon that you can switch out for multiple different things, and a siege cannon that you can also switch out for multiple different things. And his special double bumper ability is just like a battle cry, and it makes everyone aggro on you, so you take all the damage away from your teammates. I forgot to say the ultimate of Ranger is just, he goes up in the air and he locks onto a bunch of enemies with missiles and he shoots them. Colossus just pulls out a giant cannon and it blows stuff up. And we're going to talk about the next one, Storm, which is an elemental javelin suitable for dealing damage from a distance. Now, Storm can stay in the air longer than any other javelin, seeing as how he has a cooling bubble around him, because he's all about the elements. And He's all about setting up combos for your team. So, like, if you freeze someone and someone then uses another ability on that person that is now frozen, it starts a combo and it deals more damage. Storm is really good for anyone who just wants to be far away from the fight but still dealing damage at the same time and staying in the air. Storm's ultimate is he throws down 3 beams of, you have plasma, fire, and ice, and that's the 3 beams that he throws down, and you can kill multiple groups of enemies with it, starting combos.
And the final Javelin class was actually my starter class and my preferred class, which is the Interceptor. Now, the Interceptor is the lightest and most agile of all the Javelins, which also means it is the weakest when it comes to defense as well as firepower. Being that its specialty is getting in and out of places really quickly, you have to sacrifice your firepower and defense, but it's really useful for getting in someplace, dispatching an enemy really quickly, and getting out before you're spotted. I play because the way that people always compare this to is the Interceptor Javelin is the equivalent of a rogue in like a dungeon, an RPG. It's most of its starter weapons are pretty weak. You start off with like a 14 power set for your Interceptor, where everything else is like 30, 40 to start off with. But its melee weapons are where it shines the most. It has 4 shurikens that it can throw, and those shurikens can insta-kill most base-level enemies and a good amount of like the low-class wildlife. It takes 2 of them to kill any like a higher-tier enemy, and you use all 4 of them. It'll take like the first like big mini bosses. It'll take like half of their health with all 4. Its melee ability is like its Y ability is 2 double-bladed katanas that are like is an unlimited melee, unlike the other classes where you can run in and just hack things to pieces. So again, it's really good for the the hit and run play style, and for its ultimate, it is just you are invulnerable and you pull out your 2 double-bladed katanas, and it just auto locks and just bounces from enemy to enemy. It is really good for running in, activating your ultimate, and clearing out an entire room of enemies. It's good for wave fights, like boss fights where they're just releasing large waves of enemies. If you have an Interceptor, that way they can clear out all the waves of enemies before the boss re-enters, and everyone else can focus fire back on the boss. So those are the 4 javelins, the current 4 javelins. They have been gone on record to say that as the game gets further and further along in its life, they do want to release more javelins within the game. They don't want it to become oversaturated with different things. But as of right now, the 4 main javelins that came with the game, that's what we have. I know the Legion of Dawn pass is down the line supposed to give members of that pass a new javelin when they develop it. So that is what one thing I'm excited for is the new javelin. Did we talk about story already?
I said a little bit about the Heart of Rage and stuff.
Yeah.
If we want to talk about that.
Yeah, we probably should. So, spoiler warning for anybody who wants to play through the story of Anthem. It's really, really fascinating. It's a beautiful game. And the story is really, really awesome. So, again, you play as a freelancer. You're never given a name within the story mode because it's a completely online multiplayer game. So your name is your gamer tag. But you play as a freelancer who, during the big cataclysm called the Heart of Rage, was on his very first mission. So you are defending the main city. I can't ever remember the city's name. But you're defending the main city against an oncoming attack of these different enemies that are looking to control a thing called the Anthem of Creation. Now, the Anthem of Creation is like this force that creates just creates stuff, as its name implies. It's the Anthem of Creation. But during this event, the enemies attempt to control the Anthem, and the Anthem fights back, and it explodes. And this is why it's called a cataclysm, because it just it destroys everything. It is the biggest cataclysm. It's called the Heart of Rage. You and two other of the six freelancers that went in there are the only ones to survive, and one of them you drug out within an inch of his life. So that's how the game starts, and then throughout the rest of the game, the freelancers after the Heart of Rage are just shunned as an organization, and you have to fight through, collect contracts, and try to fix the image and reputation of freelancers around the globe. So that's a basic rundown of the story. It's so much more in-depth when you actually play it, but it's really fun. So let's talk about the different types of missions that you can do, like the different things that unlock within your mission cap.
Well, you got main missions, which are just exclusive, and you use to progress the story. And then you have side missions that you get from people, like Yarrow, one of the freelancers, who is
a Russian freelancer, right?
Yeah.
The best NPC.
You are in Fort Tarsus, and it's a shithole, as everyone says. No one likes it. It's a bad place. Everyone hates it. But that's where you are, and there's a bunch of people you can talk to throughout the way. You have your Cypher, Owen. Tassian is one of the people that you get main missions from later on. And then you have agent contracts, which are from the people like Yarrow and Sentinel Bryn later on, once you meet Tassian. And then there are just basic unnamed contracts that you can get. And do we want to talk about the world? Just the open world?
Yeah. So another thing, and a really fun part of the game, at least for me, is a mode called Free Roam. Now, within Free Roam, you're able to actually travel to the location of each of your contracts. So if you want, you don't have to start the contract from your Javelin port, because it'll all appear on your Free Roam map. So then you can go to those locations, and it'll start that contract. But within the map, say you don't want to go and do one of your already preset missions, you can go and you can find these things called world events. Now, what a world event is it's open to everybody who wants to, and it's just random little missions that happen in the world. So it really fleshes out the world, because say you'll be flying around and you get a message from your Cypher, Owen, saying, hey, there's a downed ship over here. These guys are sending a distress call. Go help them out. And these missions are open to everybody. So say you're just flying around with a bunch of random strangers. Everybody will get the same exact mission statement when they enter in the same area. So you can go to those missions and fight through them. And it's just wave missions. So like you'll get there, you'll do something, a wave of enemies will appear, you take them out. You do another thing, another wave comes, you take them out. But they reward with uncommon loot, some really good loot, a lot of like gems and stuff to help upgrade your javelins. And it's really good for, like, say you have like 3 hours to kill and you don't have any friends online at the time, and you need to upgrade your level, upgrade your javelin. You just jump into a free play, go find a couple world events, take those out, and then you're set.
That's true, but like, one thing I wish they would have done was made it more like Destiny 2.
Yeah.
Destiny 2, you can travel from planet to planet, and the area is just really small that you can go around. But Anthem, the open world area, is really big, so it's hard to find different stuff. It's a pretty big area. I just like how Destiny 2 did it with the open world. It wasn't really open world. You just go around the planet, a little small area, and it was easy enough to find everything and learn it.
Yeah, but I mean, that's where they're different. Because like I personally enjoy the whole open world thing where you have to go and seek stuff out rather than just giving yourself a small area to work with. It makes the world more fleshed out, more livable when you can actually go around and see actual like passive creatures that won't attack you, or you'll end up fighting against like these flying, fire-breathing wyverns is what they're called. They are the worst. The absolute worst. They fly, they breathe fire, and then they can hit you with their wings if you get too close. It's the worst enemy to fight.
I don't know. They're pretty easy to kill.
Well, if you know what you're doing, but say you get surrounded by because they come up, they sneak up behind you, and if you're just not paying attention, and you just get 3 wyverns firing fireballs at you.
The Titans are pretty difficult to fight.
Oh, I've only fought one of those during one of the missions. I haven't got to face one of them in the wild yet.
I had a world event that I was doing alone as Colossus, and I had to fight a Titan.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard.
I saw, it looks to me like there's different sizes of the Titans, because within the mission, the Titans were the size of towers, but in
I've seen really big ones, and there was really small one. It was a pretty small one out in the open world event.
Yeah, because in the one that I fought, I think it was in a mission with you. Yes, it was. It was a stronghold mission. It was a small little Titan. And he was about maybe twice the size of your character. But the ones in the opening scene during the Heart of Rage were the size of the fortress. And the fortresses are humongous. So you have different sizes Titans. There's different enemies that you can face throughout the game. You have the Dominion, which are the main bad guys of the event. They're like other humans and whatnot that are trying to control the Anthem of Creation. Trying to find some way to tap into it to create their armies, and they're the main antagonists. But then you've got other subspecies, like as I said, the wyverns, the wild beasts. They're wolves that run at you in packs, and they're pretty difficult to defeat.
They're a pretty basic enemy. You see them throughout the game. Yeah. They're just like bugs, but they know how to use guns and stuff.
Yeah. Those weird arachnids, I can never remember their name, but they're giant...
Scorpions.
Oh, no, not the scorpions. The scorpions are one of them. But they're those big bugs that you just find out in the wild.
That's a Koroks.
A Korok. No, not a Koroks. The Koroks are giant ox. I'm talking it's got 8 legs, it's a large shell. It looks like a jumpy bug from Orspawn, or a Hercules beetle. It's a giant Hercules beetle. And the shell around it is so hard that you have to you have to get in and use your melee abilities or get to the underside in order to take it out. Those things are insane. I hate them.
Well, that's because you don't play. They deal a lot of damage because they spit acid.
Yeah. And
it's really bad for smaller javelins because it takes out their health pretty fast.
Especially since I main the Interceptor because I like the fast in and out combat. And I did just get a sniper rifle for my Interceptor. So that's going to be good for taking out those pesky snipers up on the hills. But throughout the open world, you can find villages, and within those villages, you can say you get to one of these villages. I've actually done this a couple times. You get there, and then there will be scars attacking the village. If you go around and you save, you kill all the scars, and you save the people who are defending said little establishment or whatnot, they will give you a little pin on your map that shows you where a treasure chest can be located. It's really bizarre. You don't always get it, but every once in a while you'll get it, and it's really cool because you'll go, and it's not the best loot in the world, but it's really good loot for just flying around the open world in the free play mode, and it's a really good incentive to go find those little civilizations. You can also find chests within the civilizations. You can find just different things all over the map. The map is completely filled with stuff, and it's amazing to just fly around and find stuff.
There's a lot of hidden stuff in the map.
Yeah.
The very hidden
the
caves that you can find.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tombs are pretty...
I did find a tomb, but for the tombs, you have to be really late game for those because most of them I don't have the requirements necessary to get into them. At least at level 10. I know you've gotten into at least one tomb, right?
I've gotten into one tomb. Yeah. I think it is the tomb of... It started with an A.
But there's different tombs set around the area with different challenges inside. And you have to fight through this a horde of enemies to get to the open entrance of the tomb, which is really good for XP grinding and getting stuff to salvage. But another one of the missions is the Stronghold mission, which we talked a little bit about earlier. The Stronghold missions are you have to silence these cataclysms, and you're supposed to just fly around the open world looking for these cataclysms.
That's the cataclysm mission.
Oh, right, yes. Yeah. Which one's the Stronghold, then?
The Stronghold is the raid.
Yeah, the raid. Okay.
Where we fought the tyrant, the swarm
Right.
tyrant.
I hate that thing. But those missions are good. So, when we played through, it was good to have a Storm, an Interceptor, and a Colossus, because you're in a cave system, and you're fighting through these waves of enemies to get to the swarm tyrant, which is this giant bug creature. Which, when you kill it, it's
because you're trying to stop the scars from making acidic weapon.
That's right.
And then it's all because they were harvesting eggs from the Swarm Tyrant, yeah.
Gotcha.
And using the acid from the eggs to infuse their guns with.
Right. Which the reason you want like at least a Storm and Interceptor and a Colossus is as mentioned before, the Interceptor's ultimate is good for clearing out enemies, and the Swarm Tyrant, as it implies, makes swarms of enemies before she like runs out at you. So you want to use the Interceptor's ultimate to clear out those
run
ultimates.
Away after you do a little bit of damage from one of her bars. She's got like 4 of them, and then she'll go away. You can shoot her while she's running away, but once she gets away, that's it. And then a bunch of enemies come out of all around,
which is what the Interceptor is good for.
But also, so is Colossus if you get the burst mortar, because it shoots 4 mortar rounds, and you can shoot it into their spawn area and it'll kill them.
But you do want to use those because those can be targeted at the Swarm Tyrant, and they do a lot of damage. The Interceptor is not all that good with the Swarm at fighting the Swarm Tyrant, but they're really good at clearing out all the enemies. And then the Storm is just there for support. You can heal some of the other javelins every once in a while, and all the elemental attacks, setting up combos and whatnot.
Yeah.
The Ranger really,
Ranger is just all around. He can do everything.
Well, he can do everything, but not to the best as all the others can. Like every other javelin is best in their field. Like the Interceptor is the fastest, Colossus is the strongest, and the Storm is the best setting up combos.
Yeah.
The Ranger is just good at all.
The Ranger is just all of it.
Yeah. But that's the stronghold, and the Cataclysm is just you're running around, taking down Cataclysms and making sure that nothing explodes.
Yeah, the Cataclysm missions, you do one set Cataclysm, and then there are a bunch of them around the map, and you and your teammates go around and see how many you can do before the timer runs out. You get like 5 minutes for completing a Cataclysm. So sometimes if you have a really good group of 4 people, that's the max you can have in a group. You can have 2 people go off and do one, and 2 people go off and do another one, because there's no leash.
But I mean,
and if you don't know what a leash is in an open world game, it's where the group has to stay within a certain area of each other.
Yeah.
Like State of Decay 2 has a leash.
But that can be a bad thing as well, having no leash, because if you have a group like we had during our first Cataclysm, it was me, him, and one other guy, and the other guy in our group went off on his own and just went down and then couldn't find us again. So if you when you're doing the Cataclysms, you want to, if you're going to do the full 4-player party, you want to try at least to have 4 players within the same like group call so you can communicate back and forth. But that's only if you know you're smart. But there's a couple other missions that we haven't unlocked yet, which are more late game.
Legendary quests, we haven't gotten those.
Yeah, because that's way later down the road for us. Because he's only level 17.
Yeah. And
I'm only level 10, so.
And you can get different javelins. Like, the first one is the one that you get to pick, and you can pick any of them. But later on, you can unlock them at different levels. Level 2 is when you get to pick that first one. You get level 2 after you complete the tutorial sequence. Yeah. And then level 8, you can pick another one. And 16, then you can pick a third one. And 26, then you'll have all 4.
Yeah, until they come out with some new javelins. I want there to be a DLC with an actual Iron Man armor as one of the javelins. Like the one from Endgame. That would be really cool to be able to fly around in the Mark 8, 83 from Endgame. That'd be the coolest thing ever. Which I don't think it's ever going to happen, but that'd be sick, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Or even just the Hulkbuster. Just give the Colossus a Hulkbuster skin, and I'll be happy. That's all I need.
There are the shop, the seasonal store.
Oh yeah.
And the Thunder Merchant, as he calls himself. And
the Thunder Merchant.
Yeah, he wants you to look good while you're doing stuff. And you earn coins throughout doing stuff, but the more people you have in your group, the more coins that you get at the end of a week because of an alliance system.
Yeah.
I've only gotten like 750 from the Alliance system because I only play with him. We usually do private groups when we do missions.
Which we're hoping to get some of our friends involved in the game because the game is honestly really fun. But I think now it's time to start talking about the EA controversy that's been surrounding this game and all the other games. So if you guys don't know, one of the biggest distributors of Anthem is Electronic Arts. And if you don't know who Electronic Arts is, what are you doing watching a video about Anthem? Electronic Arts is the biggest video game company that's on the planet right now. I like to call it the Apple of the video game market. It is the biggest market. It has the biggest market share in the industry, even bigger than Microsoft, which is weird because Microsoft owns the Xbox. But EA releases titles like Madden, the NHL, the 2K series, all the baseball stuff. If it's Star Wars, it's probably EA, and like a large portion of everything else.
Yeah, EA does a lot of the Star Wars games for Disney.
And including the new one that's coming out, what is it, this fall?
Jedi Fallen Order.
Yes.
I only have one problem with that game, and there's not going to be dismemberment because Disney.
Anyway, but if you haven't heard of the EA controversy in Star Wars Battlefront 2, you had it was a really good game, really good campaign, but from the beginning there was large paywalls where you couldn't get to certain parts of the story without paying more on top of a $60 full price game. As well as the loot box system was just making people really upset, and that carried over into Anthem as well. EA just hasn't been doing all that well when it comes to marketing and making more money off of their already pre-sold games, which has been remedied. The loot system has been toned back quite a bit, and it's more attainable. But at the beginning of the game, I think it had a 38% critic review, which is very bad for a video game, especially from EA. But as I said, they have since fixed that issue, and it's now at a 59%. It's got an 8 out of 10 for fan ratings and a 6 out of 10 for critic ratings. It's not the best game of 2018, but it sure is one of the most fun and the best.
It's pretty fun. Yeah.
It is. I think it's the best experience that I've had within an Iron Man suit, at least until the new Avengers game comes out. That's a game that I'm looking forward to. The new Avengers A-Day game. That looks sick. It's supposed to be set in the Spider-Man PS4 universe. So that would be really awesome, because then that gives me a reason to buy a PS4 and get the PS4 version, the PS4 Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was our review of Anthem. Let us know in the comments what reviews you want us to do next. We're going to be doing a review of Minecraft because, duh, why not? And probably Star Wars Battlefronts 1 and 2. Star Wars, what is it, Fallen Order? Or
Fallen Jedi.
Fallen Jedi.
If I get my hands on it.
We'll more than likely get our hands on it.
Yeah, but it's a single-player game, so...
Yeah. But we can play through the story and then just come back and talk about it. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure that you guys leave a like. Again, comment down below what game we should review next. And we will see you guys in the next one. Take care.
See ya.